During my time as a junior doctor, I've managed to do something that's pretty remarkable.
Left my coat at work.
I'm not talking about treating thousands of patients, passing tough exams, or working through the pandemic. I'm talking about managing to stay in shape. Now, that may not seem too remarkable, but actually healthcare workers have one of the higher rates of obesity in the UK, and this BMJ study is a pretty eye-opening read for anyone that's interested. It is counterintuitive and actually quite shocking to think about healthcare workers being unhealthy, but if you think about it on a day-to-day basis, I think it actually makes sense. Although we work in healthcare, the day job is hard, and one of the biggest challenges we face is erratic shifts and antisocial hours.
Managed to get a bit of sleep.
These factors can lead to unhealthy lifestyles creeping in and leave physical activity being neglected. Although I resonated with these factors in my 6 years of experience in the NHS, I wanted to see if the science reflected that too. I found a US study that found being a healthcare worker reduces your likelihood of being overweight and obese, but only very slightly. And I found the most common barriers to exercise amongst Indian healthcare workers was lack of time and being too tired. And in my experience, those were barriers that I definitely faced and had to overcome. But beyond healthcare workers, I realised that these were barriers that most people could relate to in the 21st century. People feel that they lack time, people do not enjoy exercise that much, and they'd rather relax in different ways. And so the question is, despite the shifts, the stress, and the science, how did I manage to stay in shape? Was it a special diet?
Plant-based eating.
Liver is king. Keto diet.
Or maybe some special training?
German volume training.
HIIT, high intensity interval training.
Or a supplement?
Test boosters.
Testosterone.
It's all about SARMs.
And the short answer is no. And actually, it was a few key principles in my lifestyle that allowed me to balance both working as a busy junior doctor and staying in decent shape. Part of that is diet, and the other part is training, and we're going to talk about that today. I've thought about this, and I've broken it down into value training, enjoyable training, and personal goals. So first, with value training, we need to strategize and to get the most out of the precious time that we spend exercising. This is a graph of diminishing returns. We can see that the more effort or time we put into training, the more gains we get out of it. However, this is true up until a certain point, and after this, the return is less favourable. Being time poor, we want to try and get the best value out of our training. So we want to be aiming for this area in the graph and focus on getting the best bang for our buck. As a junior doctor, I didn't want to spend 2 hours 4 days a week in the gym. I wanted to be in and out as quickly as possible whilst gaining the most out of my training. And I also wanted to enjoy my training, and that's kind of my second point. Most people, including myself, don't find lifting weights or going to the gym that enjoyable. So we need to plan for this and try and make our exercise as fun as possible. If we can't achieve fun, then maybe we can make it a social activity by doing it with a friend or in a team. And if we can't do that, then maybe we can use our commute to exercise and save money on petrol and parking. This is a tool that I call cardio stacking, and it's probably the most useful tool that I've used in my 20s to stay fit. Then my third and final point is that we need to set clear and personalised goals and then set a strategy out to achieve them. My goals were to be strong, to have a decent physique, and also to be fit. So to achieve this, I needed to incorporate both weight training for muscle growth as well as cardio in order to stay lean and increase my fitness. I'm going to share the exact program that I used for the last few years and still use to this day. It would be a huge favour if you could just hit the like button. I really appreciate it. So I enjoy running, so the main form of cardio for me was going to be running. I don't love weight training, so I tried to kind of limit that to 3 quality sessions a week. So what does that actually look like? Firstly, with my weights, I chose to do fewer, slightly more thorough weight sessions. I also did a full body split, as I found this easier to recover from, and it meant that I could go running later in the week, or I wouldn't be sore when I'm working in A&E. The workouts are basically structured to hit one muscle group and then a separate muscle group, so it may be push and then pull, and that allows a bit of recovery between sets. This means that when you're there, you can train a bit harder and actually do that all in a shorter amount of time. So if you do this with around 2 minutes of rest and 1 minute for the actual set, there's a total of about 20 sets, so it should take just over an hour. Cardio-wise, I'd run, often I'd cycle to work, and then I'd try and play squash or five-a-side as well. I talked about cardio stacking earlier, and I think it's honestly the key to getting some really good results. I was fittest when I was cycling to work. Equally, five-a-side and squash is actually just fun, and I just looked forward to it and enjoyed it, and the cardio was kind of a secondary thought. I think you're much less likely to skip your cardio if you're doing it with other people. So that's kind of my cardio breakdown as well. It is hard. But I guess the aim is to just keep going, get back on the horse, and realise that it's all a journey. You can tell yourself that when I get to this weight, I'm going to feel better, or when I can lift this amount of weight, I'll be happy. But that actually isn't true, and naturally your goals will develop as you get fitter. So that's why I think it's really important to try and enjoy each and every workout as they come, and just enjoy the process. So that's pretty much the end of the video. I was going through it, editing it, and I think my girlfriend raised a fair point that it didn't quite come together at the end. And I guess what I'm trying to say is that healthcare workers, amongst other people, are really short for time. And the way that I kept fit was by maximising my time, whether that's in the gym with weights and doing compound movements and full body splits, or whether that was doing my cardio at any opportunity I could, and trying to stack it with other things like seeing friends or my commute. I think some people will be maybe feeling slightly overwhelmed, but this isn't easy, and actually it's a journey, like I said. My weight has fluctuated massively over my time as a junior doctor. I've looked great, and then I've also looked not so great. And I guess that's why it's important to talk about personalised goals. Be kind on yourselves, try and enjoy it, and just know that any time that you are exercising, doing cardio, resistance training, whether you're using the program or not, you're doing something for you. And that's really important. As healthcare workers, we have to look after each other and we have to look after ourselves. So I hope you found that interesting. We're going to cover the basic principles that I've used for my diet. And I should add, this is just something that's worked for me. There's many ways to skin a cat, and it's a video that's meant to just try and be helpful rather than anything else. I'm going to Glastonbury next week in my van, so there'll be some content coming from that. And I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.